Welcome back to Hiking with Kathleen. Today, you're back for episode 2 from Costa Rica. Stay tuned and you're going to see beautiful wildlife and scenery that I didn't have a chance to show you in our first outing. There's so much to see in our 1-week stay. So I'm out here this morning, just had my breakfast. Breakfast is not served in the rooms in this resort. What it is we just gathered up at our meal yesterday some fruit for this morning. So there's a coffee maker in the room. So just had fruit and my coffee, and I'm out here on the balcony, and I've already seen some raccoon activity going across that roof to the place they have designated as their den. And this morning I'm up and excited because I'm going to be going on an excursion to the rainforest. So I know that it will be potentially buggy, and over here it's going to be about 36 degrees, including the humidex in the afternoon. So I imagine it'll be a little bit warmer there, but that's okay. I'm just really excited about the possibility of seeing all kinds of wildlife, perhaps wildlife I haven't yet seen. So that's what's going on today, and I'm out here on the balcony because I figure maybe there's a chance that I'll see some other activity before I leave this area. So the raccoons going to bed, and the sun hasn't quite risen above the horizon, so that's always a beautiful sight. Got a gentle breeze. It's just stunning. Yesterday we had such an excellent interpreter, guide, that brought us on that alligator riverboat ride through the mangroves. He was so well informed, and somebody on the group of 20 of us asked what his background was. So he has taken environmental science, so that's his background. He did a really great job. He was pointing out birds. He was even asking if I wanted to sit in his captain's chair to be able to video on his side of the boat. So he was extremely accommodating, and I think he was just really happy to see such excitement from us. And a lot of the people that were on board were just, they had their phones out to video, or their cameras if they brought them. And he did a really great job. I'm going to include his name because his name was on his shirt, and he's a really worthwhile guide to look up if you happen to come to Costa Rica and go on that same sort of trip. So for now, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to relax and see what kind of birds might fly by, and capture what I can before I head out for my tour today. Okay, So this is to give you a little bit of an introduction as to where we are right now. So this is a waterfall. The name of it is Llanos Del Cortes. So this is the name of the waterfall, and people were encouraged to bring their bathing suits if they wanted to cool off. This is in fact our first stop on the tour, so we aren't really hot enough in order to seek out that relief. But anyway, so that's a beautiful setting. So in the lobby of the resort, when I was being picked up today, I was happy to see it was Francisco. He is the person from Cebu Tours who was the driver that picked us up at the airport. So he recognized Shannon and myself as we're sitting in the foyer waiting for me to get the ride. Now, unfortunately, Shannon opted out of this, and it's because she tends to have motion sickness. And the roads here in Costa Rica can be windy, and that isn't something that leaves her feeling like she can be well enough to enjoy the experience. So it took us about an hour and a half to get from our resort to here. If we were just traveling from the airport, it would have taken us probably half an hour or less to get to this particular location. So this is the kickstart to our travels as we are heading towards the rainforest today. So we just finished scaling the wall. No, not really, just the rock surface leading up to the wall of this small waterfall, because our hike leader, Francisco, knew that this is where I would see the Jesus lizard. They run on water. So anyway, so that was cool. He was up there. Yes, he had a whistle blown because he went inside the yellow tape area to stir them up because he saw them already. And there was a fellow that was up there watching with us, and he pointed it out. There was a gray one that was on the rock surface. Very well camouflaged, very hard to see. So anyway, that was a really neat find for today. Sloths eat leaves, and that's a really low energy diet. So they move very, very slowly in order to conserve their limited reserves of energy.
Compound like this. Wow. We are going to remove the shell like this.
A lot of work.
Yeah. The final part, if it's totally different, my friends. You can see this little bubble.
Yeah.
When in this case, the feel like the real and authentic pure sugar. We don't use over here, my friends, artificial sugar.
Processed sugar.
We prefer the real sugar in Costa Rica, my friends.
So we're just wrapping things up right now. This is our last stop before we head back to our respective hotels and resorts. So we are currently at a chocolate coffee shop, and this is where they grow coffee beans. This is where they grow cocoa. So it's been a really interesting process to go through. I ended up buying a bag of coffee that's pre-ground so that I'd have that in the resort, because I like to have coffee in the morning, and the stuff they offer is less than perfect, but it's wonderful in the area where we have our meals. So that kind of coffee is really good. It's just not that tasty coming out of the machine in the morning. So this has been such a fruitful day. Oh my God, seeing all of the highlights, several shots of sloths, both two-toed and three-toed sloths, the tapir, and oh my God, the snakes, the one bat that we saw, the toucan. It was just an amazing day. And I guess I brought a raincoat because I wasn't sure what kind of weather we would be facing. Turns out there was only a short period of time where it was spitting, and that was at one of the other stops. So at this particular last stop, we all had a chance to taste coffee, cocoa, tea, and sugar cane, because they grow sugar cane here as well. So it tasted wonderful. Everything here is grown organically, no pesticides. This culture is really amazing because 99% of the power that they use is clean energy. They are so conscientious here. It's such an admirable society, and they all are raised with those values. I really embrace the time that I'm here and really embrace the people that I've met here. It's actually a wider shot than you think. Okay, so we just smile, take a screen grab. Good morning. So we're out here at dawn, and this is the day after I went and spent the day out on the rainforest and the whole tour. Shannon will tell you a little bit about her day a little later on. We're just out here. She's having her tea. I'm having my coffee. We're listening to Howler Monkeys off in the distance. At dawn is when the males make their growling or howling sound. And it's a territorial thing, so that other males know where each other's territory is. So to give you a bit of a rundown of what we did today, Shannon and I went into the nearby town called Tamarindo, and we had a chance to do a little bit of shopping. So we didn't take the camera along with us, but I mean, we're back here enjoying what we love most, which is the beach, sitting out by the Pacific Ocean. But anyway, bird sightings and mammal sightings have been nonstop. So those are things that I continue to reveal to you. Those are things that continue to mesmerize us. So I provided you with a bit of a wrap up yesterday to my tour, and it was pretty much a 10 or 11 hour tour where I left in the morning at 7:30, got back here say about 6 o'clock, and had a chance to visit waterfalls, a rainforest, and then some area attractions like a chocolate and a cocoa, I guess, plantation. So what's been really neat is the animals that are found at every turn of the road. It was such a rewarding experience, and one thing I really want to mention and emphasize at this point is it all depends on your guide. The guide that we had was with Cebu Tours, Francisco. I had already met Francisco before because he was the fellow who drove us from the airport to our resort. And then to have yesterday, spend a full day with him and a driving partner, there were 7 of us on board. We had a great time. He's very well informed, and he was able to impart in us the features about Costa Rica that can make it a very attractive place for anybody to consider visiting or even living here. And that they have such great environmental values. So that really meant a lot to me. Everybody who seems to have been raised here has those values. And everybody who lives here seems to be content with what they have, as opposed to wishing they had more. It's a really nice break, I think, from what we typically experience when we're in North America and maybe other parts of the world, where you feel like you don't have everything that you want. Okay, the tide is coming in, and I just got wet shoes. So I got to get back to my lawn chair and make sure it's up and out of the water. So we're out here late morning right now. Shannon is doing some artwork under the trees. I'll be retreating shortly because I don't have any protection on my arms or anything like that, as far as one of those SPF shirts that keep you protected from sunburns. So here's what I've seen. This area was covered with water and then some yesterday. So now it's created all these microcosms, pools of water, where small fish and other animals can take refuge because their predators can't scale the land in order to get to them. Doesn't mean birds can't get them, because they're within easy reach of, certainly the flying predators. But it gives them it gives them a bit of a break from having to be out in the ocean where predators run rampant. So this is cool. This is all lava rock because active volcanoes exist in Costa Rica. So this is from volcanic action that happened many years ago. So what I'm doing is I'm standing in front of an area that was flooded yesterday. The current was very fast, and that's because a lot of what goes on here in Costa Rica depends on the currents, the tides. So this area we kind of refer to as the river, and at times where the tide is low, you can walk across quite easily. But at the end of the day yesterday, I was standing probably even farther back than I was now, and the water came right over my shoe, and I walked out onto sand. So it rose that fast that it caught me off guard. So this is an area where people have to be very, very careful, because when the tide rises, it can catch you off guard, and that would separate that area of land from the area of land that I'm standing on. And then people have to try and get back. Down there is sandier for sure, whereas there's lava, right? A rock lava base all around here. So you have to plan that into your trip, because I guess the way I like to put it is Mother Nature always wins. If the current becomes more robust and the water levels are high, it'll be tough to make decisions on how to get back safely. So you just plan that into when you're going to an area or returning from it. So I'm just heading back now. Went out for a walk this morning, went down to the beach, got some more pelican footage. So that was a really neat thing. So those brown pelicans, I could get footage of them diving into the water, some standing still. I wasn't able to get that earlier on, so it was a nice treat to be able to see them. So yeah, you can do all kinds of bird watching as you're just walking along the street. There's also lots of other tourists to talk to that are renting condos. So anyway, that's been working out very well, because you can always find out little tidbits from them. I find there's a lot of Canadians here. I just met a woman from Dawson Creek, British Columbia, and they're renting a condo, and yeah, so it's neat. Everybody's willing to chat. I know for myself, I typically don't do a lot of that when I'm out here on my walks, because it gets hot so early on. I just try to focus on getting some interesting footage and maybe capturing, whether it be animals I've captured before, but maybe better footage. So anyway, it's been a really great experience. So I'll be back to the resort in probably 10 minutes, unless I see some interesting things to film along the way. we're here on our last day, and we are planning to leave. We're flying out tomorrow, so it doesn't count as a travel day. And we've had a lot of really great experiences being here in Costa Rica. Second time for both of us. 2016 was the first time, so we chose to come back to the same resort since we knew the lay of the land. For me, I can give you some of the highlights that I experienced, and then we'll find out what Shannon's highlights were. So being here is a fascinating array of wildlife, and going on the excursions, so that's something I would strongly encourage people who are interested in wildlife to do. So instead of depending on what you might see around your condo or resort or hotel, because when you hire guides, they know where the animals are going to be, and they have the search image. I have search images for wildlife found in southwestern Ontario and can pick things out fairly regularly. I have no idea when I'm looking at a frog that blends in with a leaf, or a sloth that is situated near the top of a tree. So they have an eye for it, and then they can give you background detail. I found our guides were extremely knowledgeable and worth every penny that I or we paid for it, because there was one excursion I went on that Shannon did not, and that was to the rainforest. So lots of beauty, lots of beautiful scenery. So you've got your 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime, and so that's fine. You know, get up at 6, and that's when the sun rises. Sun sets around 6 p.m. And if you're tolerant of the heat, I mean, early morning is when you have the best chance of having, like right now it's 25 or 26 degrees, and it's a drier temperature because you're not going to get it loaded up with a lot of humidex figures to make it feel warmer. When we're back in southwestern Ontario and we see that the raw temperature is 25, the humidex reading might be 30 to 32 or 34 degrees Celsius. So anyway, lots of beauty, lots of time in the ocean. And what I'd like to do is, put it over to Shannon, and maybe you can provide what you felt were your highlights.
My highlights was I love the beach. I love swimming in the ocean, and it was interesting to watch the tides come in and out and watch the surfers on the big swells coming in. That was my highlight. There's volcanic rock here, and it is a little treacherous for the surfers. There are shells. I love shells, so I was shell hunting in the mornings. That was fun. As far as the heat, it was more tolerable than it was the last time you and I were here. If you're
in the month of April.
Yeah,
this is February.
Yeah, it was just unbearable for me. It might be okay if you're okay with heat. It wasn't good. February's great. And because we're close to the equator, it's really hot and you can get some serious burns. But yeah, the beach is my favorite, and the birds, the wildlife too. Yeah.
And what were you doing with your shells? What was the ultimate project going to be?
I was arranging the shells and going to do a painting of some shells and stuff and leave them here and not bring them home. But
yeah, we talked about all the crabs that are going to go without homes with all the shells she had. They were perfect size.
They were already vacated.
She's gonna add to the housing industry for crabs, and she's gonna release a bunch of shells, and
yeah,
they'll be scrambling to find a new home that's bigger for their large and growing body.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite animal that you had a chance to see around the resort? Or actually, you went on that excursion.
Yeah, I went on that excursion, but my favorite animal was this variegated squirrel. And it had a stripe down its back, and it had a white face. From behind, it looked like a little monkey. And it took a side profile for us to realize, oh my goodness, that's a squirrel. And yeah, that was my highlight for my animal find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, the monkeys. I love the monkeys. And so on my first morning here is when I had a chance to film that howler monkey that was just doing a howl. doing from the top of a building. He didn't care that there were about 3 or 4 of us standing around watching and listening to him. So they do that at dawn and they do that at dusk, and it's a beautiful sound.
How did you know it was the male?
Yeah, he's got some ornamental features. He's got a deep voice, he's got a larger size, and he has ornamental features, and that's how I knew. And so that wraps up our overview of the time that we have spent here in Costa Rica. And wear water shoes, bring your water shoes, because that's what helps you out on the lava rock. It gives you better tread and saves your feet, because I know our feet are tender if we're not used to walking along the beaches. But it was a really great experience. Did you find you could manage with the luggage we brought? Because earlier on I showed that we just brought each one carry-on suitcase and one personal size bag. They all are, you know, measured according to what the airline allows. Did you find you brought enough?
Yeah, I could have left some things home, to be honest.
So you can do it when you're going to a really warm climate like here. We just wore our winter clothes on the plane, and we'll wear them back when we are heading home tomorrow. So, okay, well, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us on Hiking with Kathleen, and we hope you enjoyed this video series.